Yo, yo. What's up, y'all? We're getting ready to go live with Pastor Chad. You know, tonight they got Chad versus Michelle. Chad versus Michelle. Sorry, Chad loves Michelle. on. Here we go. All right, y'all. We're about to go live with Pastor Chad. If you haven't been watching, here we go. Yo, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Hello?
There you go. I can hear you now.
Yo, man, it literally looks like we have the exact same backdrop.
Yeah.
I'm in Toronto.
Way across the way, huh?
Yeah, man, that's
What's
crazy.
up, bro?
Not much, dog. How you doing?
Good, man. Good.
Yeah.
Good to see you. You guys have a good Thanksgiving?
It was good. It was good, man.
Yeah.
It was. We were in LA actually at Adrian Israel's.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We went to Michelle's family.
In Chicago?
Yeah, outside of Chicago. Otherwise, we would have been there. If we were in LA, we would have been with that LA fam.
Yeah, dude, it was amazing. It was amazing. Had
It
such
like it,
a
bro.
good time, man. They threw down. Oh,
as always.
yeah, I'm
They're
sure.
good people to party with. Man, you in the studio? What's going on?
Nah, man, want to make sure that the folks can hear me, man. So you know how it is. No studio, man, just hotel room. That's downtown Toronto.
Oh, wow. Man, we're both in, that's New York right there, bro.
I know, it's kind of crazy. Yes, so Michelle is in rehearsal.
Yeah, man, she's on Once on This Island.
Once
a Broadway play.
Oh, okay.
So she starts in the next, next couple weeks, within the next couple weeks. And yeah, man, so I just came out, for her opening night and trying to support her.
Yeah. We Megan had to do a reshoot on a film that she's working on in Toronto. So I came with her, and then we head back out on Monday morning.
Perfect.
Yeah, how long is the Broadway show?
Bro, she's gonna be here until June.
So you're gonna be there until June.
Man,
in and out.
Yeah. I'm gonna get my frequent flyer miles up. That's for sure.
Oh man, you got that right, man. So man, what the show airs? What it airs later on tonight? It's
tonight,
7 o'clock Eastern time.
Yeah, this is episode 4.
Oh wow.
4 tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern.
Okay.
Yeah,
right
man,
on
Oprah Winfrey Network, and it's funny, man, because we've been journeying along on this thing with our counseling sessions, and it started off a little rough, you know what I mean?
But now you mean the experience of now kind of being a reality star, or you know what I mean, like because was it more than you had thought it was going to be?
You know what? Yes and no. Yes, from the sense of I didn't realize how opinionated everybody was going to be about our good, about us trying to open up and just be real and be honest and really trying to strengthen marriages, and relationships and providing hope to people that don't have one, So, it's that part of it has been like, wow, man, how, you just don't realize how many people love to seek out negative.
And let me ask you this. So how are you, how are those comments coming on your radar? Do you pay attention to social media? Are people sending you emails, texts? Like, how are you aware of the chatter out there?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the chatters, 2 and 3 degrees removed from us. Our circles, you guys included, our circle is celebrating with us. Yeah. And so we feel like, man, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. People are going to have their opinions, which is fine. We knew that there was a risk in opening up our relationship to the world. Yep. But, that part of it's been an adjustment for me. It wasn't so much of an adjustment as I thought it would be, as it relates to letting the cameras around and, kind of trying to relax and just shoot some scenes, that are real. And realistic and true to us. You know what I mean? Yep. So that part of it took a couple weeks, and after that, man, I was like, you'd forget they were there. You know,
Yeah.
we fell in love with our crew. They felt like family, you know,
Yeah.
the production team, everybody. Yeah, it's just a really good thing, man. And so, you know, our hope and our prayer is that it blesses a lot of people, man,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and strengthens relationships and hope.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
So,
that, you know, a lot of times I think that, you know, when you make the choice to share your life, especially in you know, the documentary, you know, series space, and there's a certain tone that people are used to, and then you all are saying we're not going to do that. You know,
yeah,
we're gonna be
right,
authentic to us. We're going to do something
right,
different.
right,
You know, I think that a lot of times the audience will then try to critique it, trying to make it that, and you're like, well, no, we're doing
right,
something different.
right.
You know, and so part of that difference is you're going against the grain. So as a result,
Yeah, man.
you're experiencing some of that friction, that is coming from that, you know.
Yeah, yeah, no
And I
doubt.
think what you said is right. It's like keeping, you know, who's in your circle. You know, we love you. We
Right.
got your
Oh,
back.
man,
And at the end of the
appreciate it.
day, you got to have that. You got to have that nucleus around your nucleus to help protect it, incubate it,
Yeah,
because you
man.
know the world doesn't know you, and the world doesn't even know her. They know the image of her.
Right.
They don't know her.
Exactly.
So, you know, when people start to attack, a lot of that comes from, you know, their own insecurities, their own
Your own
issues and stuff.
perception. Yeah.
However, it's important to still stay clear on what God is calling you all to do.
Yeah, bro.
Because even in the middle of all this, man, you know, the enemy loves to shake the tree,
Right.
you know, and he loves to see what he can, you know, dislodge, you know, within your relationship and now
Sure.
eventual marriage. So it's really important to continue to stay close and to navigate all this because your
Yeah.
intention is right and pure.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny.
It
Someone
is,
wrote
bro.
in these comments, no, I said you got that right. Whoever wrote that, they thought I said something else. I said, no, you got that right.
You got that right.
That's right. You got that right.
T-H-A-T.
That's right. THAT.
Right.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Now, do you know what tonight's episode is going to focus on?
Yeah, man. So tonight it's interesting, bro, because um I open up a lot, you know, about me. I know the world kind of knew a lot about Michelle and her depression and some of the, you know, the situations she was kind of coming into the relationship with. But I think for me, you know, it was important not just for Michelle to know, but for the world to know as well. You know, as men, man, we bring baggage too. You know,
Mm,
we bring, and whether you call it baggage or just obstacles, things that you have to confront, things that, you know, kind of start to creep up in your relationship and start to poke their head up in, you know, in things, and you're like, man, where is this coming from?
yeah.
And so I talk a lot about the relationship I had with my father. My
Mm,
dad and I mean, bro, I had a all-star dad, you know,
mm,
phenomenal dad.
yeah.
My dad wasn't the greatest example of a husband though, you
Mm,
know. And I know that sounds crazy, but it was like he was great. He was always there for me, always at my games, always teaching me how to be a man, but never showed me the part of how to love a woman,
mm,
you know.
see.
He was very emotionally unavailable to my mother,
Mm,
and they eventually got a divorce. And so
mm.
when he
How
got
old
a,
were you?
I was 13.
Wow.
And so when they got a divorce, I actually was afraid that my dad was going to kill himself because he had a really difficult time dealing with the loss of his family.
Mm,
And we didn't have Jesus, bro. We weren't raised in church, you know, and so he turned to substance abuse, and you know, he was
wow.
out all night all the time, and I felt like it was my role to keep him alive. And so
Mm,
I went from 13 to, by the time I was 14, I felt like the emotional parent.
wow.
Yeah, man. So I had to grow up really quick, bro, really
Wow.
quick. And I think I dig into that a little bit tonight, just about the fact that I feel some association with in relationships where I'm like, man, if I feel like I have to carry you, it starts making me trigger back to my dad, you know? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Sorry, the alarm thing came up. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Do you, what's your status? What's your relationship with him now? Do you talk to him on the episode?
yeah, no, I wish I could, bro. So, um, my father passed 6 years ago, actually
Mm,
yesterday.
Oh,
So,
I'm so sorry to hear
with
that.
complications of diabetes. Yeah, man. And so, you know,
Wow.
but our relationship, it was never a bad relationship, you know?
Yeah.
We went through a really difficult time. And through my teen years, I felt like I needed to be a rock for him, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it caused me to it caused me to skip some years in my development, you know,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally.
Sure.
And
Sure.
so that's kind of the baggage that I bring in. You see what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying?
I
And me and
do.
my dad, you know, we had a phenomenal relationship afterwards. I led him to the Lord. You know, I
Mm.
know he's in heaven. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, I bring that stuff in. And so when I start feeling like the relationship becomes a liability
Mm.
instead of a responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? It's like
Mm-hmm.
a blessing to serve her. It's a blessing to lay my life down for her instead of,
Mm-hmm.
and there are moments where I'm like, ooh, you know, when you see issues or you see things that, you know, any relationship
Mm-hmm.
encounters, you know,
Mm-hmm.
where it gets difficult or it gets a little bumpy. And I'm like, man, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if I want to really carry this like this,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, but we've been learning our roles, man. And I know
Mm-hmm.
my role as the man is servant leader,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yes. Yes. But also, I think one of the things that you're talking about, and I can't wait to see the episode tonight and how you deal with it, but part of servant leadership, especially as a man, is to also acknowledge, hey, wait, I'm wounded. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to lead, but I also have to realize there's some areas I got to heal from,
Yeah.
because what you're describing with your dad, and that experience, there was life you didn't get a chance to live.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about and you felt the stress and the pressure of that. So when you start seeing those patterns creep up in a relationship, your muscle
Mhm.
emotional memory goes right back to those moments. So you're responding sometimes probably related to that, not even to the
Mhm.
current situation. So I think, your transparency, your honesty is powerful, because we need it, and so much of what we
Yeah.
experience in life has a lot to do with our fathers. My father died
Right.
when I was 9 years old. He
Really?
was, he died of a heart attack when he was 36.
Wow.
Yeah, he was an alcoholic most of my life, and he and my mother were like high school sweethearts, and even
Right.
actually middle school.
Thank.
Yeah, loved each other and whatnot. But
Yeah.
growing up, I had a good. My mother never spoke negatively about him, but we had traumatic situations. Most of the experiences I had with him that I remember, he was drunk,
Mm.
and sometimes aggressive, sometimes violent, and so when he died, which was suddenly, I had a hard time with it. And so growing up, even getting into relationships,
Yeah.
I was always very distant. I would be in it, I'd be present,
Right.
but I wouldn't be present, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Of
So,
course.
as a man, I had to kind of, as I got older, had to learn how to process that, deal with that. Even in my marriage with the missus, having to learn, like, okay, how do I not allow, or not even just allow, how am I open that moment is still painful
Yeah.
to me,
Yeah.
and then seeing what my mother, went through. And then there were times that, and I talk about this in Produced by Faith. There were times like my mother raised my brother, my older brother, younger brother, and I. So she raised us by herself for the most part, with the exception of she had a lot of help from my grandmother and her sisters. But
Hmm.
because my mother was working so much and she was so, doing things to sacrifice for us, I held a lot of resentment towards her growing up, because she wasn't around all the time.
Right.
And it wasn't that she was absent. She was there. She was working. But, like, I can't remember a time when my mother came to a game that I was in, my
Hmm.
basketball game, or different
Yeah.
things. And so, I
Yeah.
was really, really holding that against her, and I realized that was affecting my relationships with women. And so,
Mm.
I had to be honest about that. I had to process that. I had to
Yeah.
go to her and,
Right.
apologize, because she did the best she could. And,
Mm.
now we have a great relationship. But so much of us wanting to go forward does have a little bit to do with how well we look back,
Right.
and how well we try to resolve,
Yeah.
those issues. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And man, I love that, DeVon, because you and I share such uh, a strong, vision together, in the sense of we want to
Absolutely.
impact our lives to
Yeah.
impact men.
Yeah.
You know? I
Yeah.
want to, you know, as for us as men, I think so many times it's just easy for us to skip over things, sweep stuff under the rug. That's our first inclination, you
It
know?
sure is.
It,
Sure is.
and, you know, and we, like you said, we go out to battle wounded. We learn to play hurt on the field, you know, as
Yep.
athletes. You're
Yep.
weak if you heal. Get
Yep.
out there and play hurt. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You gotta
I
be. You're
do.
only tough if you know how to play when you're wounded. You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
some of that's true, man. In life, we got to be out there on the battlefield. But at the end of the day, man, healing is so important in order for us to bring, you know, wholeness and life to a relationship. And I think one of the ways we break generational curses is by, you know, confronting the stuff that maybe our dads didn't.
That's right. That's right.
You know,
Absolutely.
having the courage
Absolutely.
to do that.
Man, absolutely, man.
So
Listen, I mean, everything you're saying is right. It's just exactly the truth, man. You know what I mean? Amen. And hashtag this. If
yeah,
y'all are watching this, you got it. This is so true. I mean, dude,
yeah,
that's one of the reasons why I wrote my next book. You know,
yeah.
because and
Let's talk about that for a minute.
dude. Now listen,
The
this
truth
is all
about men.
organic, dude. I literally, this is organic. This wasn't even set up. I literally, before we got on this thing, God just said, take out the book and pray over it. So that's what I was doing before we got on this thing, just praying over it, man.
Thank God, bro.
Because it's a message, not even for it's. I didn't want to write the book. You know, it's not
Right.
something that I said, oh, I'm gonna go do this. It's gonna be hot. No, it was an opportunity that presented itself, and I think God really wants to use it for this time because
Yeah.
you know, as men, we have to have a safe space to talk. And I have a whole chapter in this book about creating a safe space. And it's so important because as men, we don't talk. So this right here, even us doing this and doing this publicly is rare. Men don't talk about their feelings, don't talk about how they feel. And as a result, many men suffer in silence. Many men, you know, almost die in silence. So one of the reasons why I
Mm,
wanted to write the book was to
so
say,
true, man.
hey, we got to start being honest about what we're going through. We got to start talking. We got to start communicating. We got to like say, hey,
Yeah.
we don't have it all together because most men deal with brokenness, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
this
bro.
idea and this standard of like, oh, if you're not this, then you're not a man. And most
Yeah.
of us, when we grow up, when we don't fit the quote unquote standard, we're met with violence. What's wrong with you? Stop crying.
Right.
You know, oh,
Right.
you're being a sissy, right? So we're learned and we're conditioned to just hold things in. And then many times we find ourselves taking it out in the form of womanizing where
Right.
we think, oh, you know, we have this hole in our soul and we think, oh my goodness, the more women I have, the better I'll feel. The more money I have, the better I feel, the better job I'll have, you know, and all these things we keep looking externally to feel something that's internal.
Mm-hmm.
So I really wanted to write this book to talk about our truth and also to give women information because most men, including myself, like I don't like to do my work. You know what I mean? I'm be honest. I don't like to do it. Right? You know, come on. You know, when Michelle calls you on some stuff, you
Man,
listen. I'm sure you're
like,
like,
wait a
wait a
minute.
minute,
No, no.
baby.
You just go ahead and do the work.
Right.
I'll go to work.
It's right. I'll go to work. Hey, I'll go to work. You do the work. You know,
Right.
and that is so true that we don't like to do our work, but to be the men. Officially.
Yeah.
But you know, we don't like to do our work. And so I wanted to write this book which talks about here's how we do our work and also giving women information. So the book is not just for men, it's for men and women. And the idea, here is the thesis. My thesis is this. We in this world, the problem that we have that no one's talking about is a lust problem.
Mm.
Period. And the reason why we're seeing so many challenges with men is because men have a lust problem and no one's talking about it. And this lust is for women, money, power, sex, fame, greed, all of these things. I use a metaphor of dog training. So I call lust in men, I believe it operates like an untrained dog. And it wants what it wants when it wants it, however it wants it. It's selfish. It only focuses on its needs.
Mm-hmm.
Every man, I believe, has a dog in them. Why do men act like dogs at times? Because they allow the dog in them to run their life. What they
Yeah.
want, how they
Yeah.
want it, to basically
Yeah.
be the thing that they service. However, I believe every
Yeah.
man also has love in them. I call this love the master. Whenever you put love in control of lust, this is when we can become the men we were created to be. Whenever we allow lust to be in control of love, we become what the lust makes us instead of what the love has created us to be. In order to be a master, I have to be submitted to the master. I have to be committed to God. But so many men, one, we suffer in silence. We're not honest. And two, we allow this lust in us to run our life because we feed it on a constant basis. The one you feed is the one that's going to succeed. So these are some of the things I talk about, in the book. And I wanted to write it so that we as men could have conversations like this and bring women into the process, because I think for too long we've been talking at each other, and now we got to talk with each other. And that's why I love what you're doing, what you and Michelle are doing on the show, because you're talking with one another, and you're not afraid to talk through some stuff that's difficult. And for each other to challenge one another and say, hey, wait, I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I like that. So what you're doing takes a lot of courage. When you watch the show, are there moments when you see that friction that you're like, oh man, where you cringe, or how do you handle that?
That's funny, man. I mean, all that stuff's so good, bro, because we did the show, and just like your book isn't written for men only, we also, the show isn't for women only. Like, I wanted men to watch this too, to hopefully be like, hey man, I'll put myself out there. I'll be the sacrificial ram, to let you watch a man kind of lay his life down and have to do the work and whatnot. But, in the show, it's funny because we'll sit there and we'll watch and we'll live tweet and stuff tonight as it airs, and kind of engage with our viewers and things of that nature, because we really want it to be a ministry, not just entertainment, because there isn't really any goal that was entertainment oriented. It was all impact oriented. And so, we filmed our sessions, and so we're a little further down the road in the present moment than we were when we filmed.
Right.
So we're sitting there going, oh man, thank God we're not there, But also thank God that we were there, and we went to counseling while we were there.
Yeah.
So we're not running around the mountain again. We don't find ourselves in a crazy cycle back here in a month or back here in 3 weeks.
Yep. Yep. What you just said is so
do the work,
important.
Man.
It's about doing the work, and also it's about committing to the process, and that's, and I also think that there is a misconception about love. And, listen, Hollywood is a lot to blame, because it's like, oh, when you see the movies and romantic comedies and, it's just everything is just this beautiful and amazing. No, love is work. It's work. And there's some moments that are great and some moments that are challenging. And and I think that, real love is found in how we work through the challenges. Because if you don't love somebody, the moment those challenges hit, you're out. Like, yo, I'm done. I can't, no. So I think I love the title of your show, and I thought that was really profound.
Yeah.
Because it could have been, Michelle loves Chad, but it's like, no, Chad loves Michelle. And I thought that was very, very, I'm sure there was a lot of conversation about the title of the show. And I think that was very, very profound, to do it that way. And it does take a lot, no matter what anybody says. It takes a lot on both sides to learn how to love, and to love through challenges, and to discover love in the challenges,
Yeah, and we're learning that, bro. We're learning to, understand each other's language.
How is that? Is that hard? Is that a difficult part of the process?
It's been difficult for us, man. I mean, it's been difficult because here's why. Not because of the baggage we bring so much. Because everybody thinks like baggage. That's why I kind of steer away from baggage per se, and I just say the life that we bring. There, baggage has such a negative connotation with it, and for us, man, we're both 40, close. She's close to, she's in her 30s, late 30s. I'm 41, and we've never been married. We both have very established careers. We've been doing this stuff for a long time alone. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so when you bring a relationship, you bring two well-established lives together. You know, young and you get married, you grow up together, you experience a lot together. But here we're bringing a lot of life together. And I think that's been more than anything else, that's been our biggest obstacle, is learning how to merge our two lives and yet still be obedient and diligent in the things that we feel called to individually as well. Does that make sense? Without, but still becoming one, you know?
Oh yeah.
So
It makes a lot of sense. And that is going to be a constant negotiation. And that's probably the best way to put it, because what you're saying is like, okay, yeah, we love each other, but then the practical application of that love as it plays out in our, separate and now joined ambitions to have purpose and to feel fulfilled, but to do it in a way where, before, hey, I could just go do what I want. I ain't got to think about nobody. Whereas now, okay, what works for us? And how do I take each opportunity that's presented and say, okay, wait, before I say yes, we got to talk about this.
Yeah.
And that is, man, listen, I mean, Megan and I are almost 7 years in, we'll be 7 in June. And that's a constant. It's a constant thing, man. It's a constant thing. I'm telling you, especially like you said, when you two people that have ambition and desires and goals and dreams and purpose and want to do it all, yet still also, want to do the union and marriage and keep that strong. It's a process. I mean, like next year with my book and movie coming out, I've already told them, like, okay, babe, listen, it's going to be crazy for the next 6 months. So I need you to give me some grace. Okay. Like you have to come with me on some trips. I'm going to come with you on some trips. I'm here in Toronto with her, so that we can just find the balance while we're supporting each other in doing what we do. But there's also some times where she will say to me, you got to sit down. I'm like, no, you're doing too much. So I'm like, okay,
that's when your pride kicks in and like, wait a minute.
Yeah, but then
here's driving here. Yeah.
But here's the thing. As a man, like when I hear that, my ego wants to say, no, I'm gonna do what I want. But being submitted and committed to God, and God bringing her into my life, I have to say, okay, God, if you brought her into my life and she's saying this, I got to listen. Because if you didn't want me to have that other point of view, you wouldn't have brought her. So I'm doing you a disservice, God, if I don't listen to what she's saying, period. So, a lot of times when she says that, I'm like, okay, you know what? I didn't want to hear it, but I am listening, and I have to modify and adjust so that each individual ambition should never feel like our individual ambition is more of a priority than the health of the marriage.
Yeah.
And so that's something that you and Michelle are going to have to continue to navigate, as you come together. It's like, okay, we want to conquer the world. Great, we can do it. But how do we do it in a way where it works for the growth of our marriage, not at the expense of it?
Yeah. Well, and you know what? I think that's so true, man. And what we're realizing is, like the Bible teaches us, man, that, one can put 1,000 to flight, but two can put 10,000 to flight.
That's right.
And we're stronger together. When we do things together, we see greater impact. And so it's learning to merge, the things that really need to be merged together for great impact. And so, for me, man, with this whole process of doing the work, I don't mind, putting my heart out there and because as a pastor, as a minister, as a speaker, I've been doing this 20 years. And so I don't mind, I get in front of congregations or people groups all the time, and I'm putting my heart out there. So I don't mind communicating. But when it comes to your emotions or things that maybe aren't as favorable about you, like things you need to change and things you need to mold in order to get like, wait a minute. That's when you kind of want to chuck the deuces and like, man, I'm not changing. You stay over there, I'll stay over here, and we just won't touch the area.
Oh, man.
But so it's the pliability, man. Learning to be pliable, learning to be moldable, and really becoming what the other person really needs in the relationship. Like I'm here to meet your needs and fulfill the needs that you have. And if she's doing that for me and I'm doing that for her, it's a beautiful synergy that is created between us when we're both sacrificial loving, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, if not, and it's difficult to sacrifice, man. Sacrifice is something that costs you something, right? It wouldn't be a sacrifice.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, man. Let me tell you.
It's not a sacrifice.
Let me tell you, man.
Right?
You know,
So,
it's so true.
I can either be sacrificial or I can be single.
Y'all can go ahead and tweet that. I can be either sacrificial or I can be single. I think that is a fact of life when it comes to relationships and marriage, when you want to do it right. And a lot of what I hear you saying and what I appreciate, you know, is that, and for those that are watching this, I don't want you to miss this, that here is a man who is about to get married and is constantly and consistently talking about the well-being of his marriage, well-being of his fiance, you know, and wanting to honor that and sacrifice for that. And I think that this type of thought, Chad, man, the way you're approaching it is awesome, because so often as men, we want to come into marriage and say, yo, it's about me, you know, oh, I'm a man now, you know, I'm going to be served in this way and all that. Like you said, servant leader. I'm going to lead, but I'm here to serve. How do I serve? How do I, you know, meet the need? And along the way, you know, how do I become the man that I'm created to be? You know, and so I think what you're, and I'm hoping that those watching right now are really getting your heart, because you're not coming at this from a chauvinistic standpoint. You're not coming at this from I'm a man and that's what this means. No, you're coming at this from a very humble, hey, I'm trying to do better and learn better, because here's what I can tell you. No matter how much information anybody in your life gives you about marriage, you won't know what it is until you do it. But your approach to it, if you keep this approach that you have, I believe that you all will be successful. One thing you said earlier that I want to double back to is this idea of baggage. And so it reminds me of analogy. So, you know, just now, you know, I came from LA to Toronto, just like you came from, you know, LA or Chicago to New York. And so when we got off the plane, the first place we went was the baggage claim, right? So when you get to the baggage claim, sometimes there's somebody there to help you with your baggage. So when you go to the carousel, I go to the carousel and I get my bags, and that person that's there to help me, if they look at me and say, "Why do you have baggage? What's wrong with you?" Yeah. You would look at that person and say, "You're the crazy one. You know, I just got off a flight. Right. I just flew all the way around the country. Why are you asking me why I got baggage?" Right. No, it's ludicrous. As a matter of fact, the person that's there to help says, "Hey, where is your baggage? Let me go get it and carry it for you." So too often in relationships, we are surprised when someone has baggage. We all have been on journeys. We all have been on a journey. So when we get to a relationship or a marriage, it's very much like that baggage claim. So the thought that you have baggage it's nothing to be ashamed about. It's nothing to be surprised about. It's a fact of life. Where we find the healing is when that person that helped meet, whether male, you know, it's your wife eventually, you know, as a husband to her, when you find that helpmeet that helps you carry that baggage and helps you unpack that baggage, that's really where the power of the relationship is found. Because too often we get mad when we see someone having baggage, but everyone's been on a journey. So why it's like the same way you would look at the guy or the woman helping you with the baggage at the airport saying, "Are you crazy? Of course I got baggage." That's how we are in relationships and in life. We got it. We all got it. Nobody is exempt from it. And we just need somebody who loves us enough to help us carry it and unpack it. Just because we have it doesn't mean we have to carry it for a lifetime. We can unpack it. We can make the light loader. I mean, we make the load lighter. We can do that. But we need somebody with us to help us do it. Yesterday, I posted on IG, boys play, men commit. That true peace is found, you know, in the commitment to one instead of the playing of many. And I think part of that true commitment is this idea of unpacking a bag. And what happens is, man, I think as men, especially the way we're taught to date, that we're taught, hey, the more women we date, the better. What happens, though, is the more women we date, when we only think about ourselves, we actually accumulate more baggage. And most men don't realize it. More emotional weight, more emotional scars. So by the time we get into marriage, you know, we need someone to help unpack it. But however, when we haven't practiced any discipline in our dating life, it's then very hard to be open and transparent and honest with somebody in a way where we can get the help we need in marriage.
Man, listen, I love it, bro. I love it. That's right where I'm at, you know?
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I think it's easy to sit here and say, you know, I've done counseling for years. You know, I've been in so many settings, and so man, for 17 years, I was in the NFL as a chaplain and a life coach. And I led over 100 at least, or led or organized over 100 couples ministry, Bible studies, and empowerment sessions and stuff like that.
Wow.
Man, so I feel very invested in, right?
Yeah.
But it's like you can work out all you want to, but when you get in the game, listen,
man, it's a whole nother thing, man.
I'm glad I had the training, man. I'm glad I came in with tools, because if I didn't come in with tools, man, I only had what I saw either via TV. I grew up on hip hop and R&B music, so if I only had what I listened to growing up, or what I saw growing up, or even what I see a lot of times, unfortunately, even in church, you know, a lot of relationships are broken, man. And so if I didn't have the tools coming into it, whew, man, it'd be crazy difficult, because it's difficult with them. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's not so much that it's not that she's difficult. It's that relationship is hard if you don't work at it. You know,
man. And here's the thing: it's hard if you don't work at it, and because a lot of, again, just, you know, talking about us as men. So what happens is, as men, when we've been raised in a world that basically says boys will be boys, it's okay, we just do what we do, right? Hey, that's just how men are. Okay, great. So what happens is we run up that credit card of like, oh, I'm just a man, that's what I do. Oh, it's cool. My whole world is oriented around me being a man. So then what happens is we get into marriage, and then we expect our entire life to be situated around us as the nucleus. However, what we learn is that to me is never going to be the key to a healthy marriage. And so as a man, when I begin to realize, hey, I have to be considerate, I have to be thoughtful, I can't just think about myself. Right? Even though I've run up this credit card of boys will be boys, now the bills come and due. And now, you know, I don't even know how to pay it, right? Because I've got through my whole life being told I'm a man, hey, it's all good. But when you get into marriage, it's about sacrifice, it's about love. And it's also about saying, you know what, the moment challenges hit, I can't run. Because in a dating situation, most men, that's what they'll do. It's like, you know what? No, I'm not going to take this from you, because I know I can go over there, and this other woman ain't gonna hold me accountable, ain't gonna hold me responsible, right? But when you step up and say, I'm going to commit, that's why commitment is a part of manhood. Because commitment says, I'm not going to run. I want to run. I want to run. I don't want to deal with this, but I'm committed to the commitment. I'm committed to the commitment. It's like, yeah, I love you, I love this, but I'm also committed. And if I run now, I'll run later. If I run from work now, I'm going to run from work later. So it's never easy, because you're right. It's not about them. It's about, you know, okay, wait, I'm being challenged in a way I've never been challenged before, and I don't like it. And this is why. Oh no, you got it. Go ahead.
Well, no, it's good, man. Because I think for us as men, we don't really survive well in settings where we're tolerated and not celebrated.
That's true.
You know, and so when we feel like there's something that's opposing us or pointing out a flaw or an area where we need to grow, we'd rather just go somewhere else where we feel productive or we feel successful. So that's why a lot of times men, and I can be first in line, man, my tendency is just to turn to be a workaholic. Because then I'm like, at least I'm working and I'm building something, and it's you know what I mean? And it's mine, and it's going to be successful, and I can put my life into it and things like that. But when it comes to a relationship, oftentimes, you know, women have to continually be that garden and that ground that you have to care for, you know? And it's like, it's not just, I built this, and now since things aren't going well, there's friction or whatever, I'm going to go bury myself in work. You know, I have to continue to say, you know what? I have to face some of this stuff. I have to continue to work to keep her happy and well, and, you know, and do what I got to do to make sure my house is, you know, going in the direction that it's called to go, man. And so I think the tendency for us as men is to lean towards our work or what we quote unquote do, because that's where we find a lot more identity in what we do. And if we feel, but if you go back, man, I'm gonna be a preacher for a second since I'm talking about a preacher, brother.
Yes.
But if you go back to the fall of man in Genesis chapter 3, it gives so much life, man, to understanding about our fallen nature. Like our tendency, man, is to find ourselves and our identity in work, in what we do, you know, because after Adam and Eve fell, God came to him and said, you know, all the days of your life, you're going to bust your tail working by the sweat of your brow.
Yes.
You know, and now that's a byproduct of how easy it is for us to be bent towards, it's our bent towards, we find our identity in what we do rather than in who we are in God, you know?
That's right.
And
man, yes.
So anytime I feel like anytime I know that I'm burying myself in work, I want to produce, I have to kind of check my pulse, man, and go, okay, what is it where I'm lacking? Where am I not feeling successful? What is it pulling me away from, you know, to try to build myself up here? And most of the time, man, it has something to do with my identity and how I'm feeling emotionally or towards myself, or maybe something in my life isn't as successful. Maybe ministry isn't popping off the way I want it to, or my personal relationship isn't going as great as I want it to, so on and so forth. I don't feel like I'm putting points on the board. You know what I mean?
Yes,
the way that I really desire. And so I have to check my pulse in that, man, and go back to the game plan, man, and go, okay, I got to stop. I got to stop. I got to pour stand in who I am, get back with God, and pursue my wife to be.
Yes. Pursue your wife. Yes. And pursue your husband to be. Pursue you. You know what I mean? Because who you are is changing. Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude,
so, I mean,
literally, man.
It's so good, bro. Hey, you know what? Before we get off, man.
Yeah. Man, dude, I was looking for this. I cannot find this. I literally wrote what you wrote a chapter in my book. Literally, I just said everything you just said. Pretty much, I wrote in this book. Literally, like where I talked about how we find our value in doing versus being, and for us to be whole, we have to focus on being men, not trying to do something, because there's nothing we can do to fulfill who we are called to be. We have to know it first. Anything we do should be an extension of what we already know and who we already are, not to do in order to be.
So check out why and I don't think we captured this on the episode. I know that it was stated in my counseling session, but our counseling sessions were 2 hours. The episode catches about 5-10 minutes of our session.
Yeah, right.
But one of the things that I stated in my counseling session is, I saw my dad, like I said, be a great provider, a great father. But when my mom, almost 20 years in, started having emotional, like throwing up the white flag saying, hey, I have some needs over here, they're not being met. I'm not as happy as I desire to be. My dad did what most men do, or what it's easy for us to say that, what it's easy for us as men to do. And that was, well, she wanted to go to counseling. He's like, you go to counseling. I don't have the problem. You have the problem.
Deep.
It's your problem, not mine. You're the one that has the problem. I don't have a problem. I'm fine. I'm fine in this relationship. Well, it's easy to be fine when you're doing what you want to do, Right. But not confronting maybe what's not so becoming about you right now or whatever. So anyways, it ended up in divorce. And it really affected my father, in the days to come. man. And it ended up actually eventually eroding at him so deeply that it ended up getting him and taking his life, you know, because my dad would have been so much more healthy had he stayed with had my mom and him's relationship worked out.
Stayed together.
He just, yeah, man, it just would have been, you know, and that's a fact, man, that married men live longer.
It is. Yes, it is. It is. It's a fact.
Happy married men
I
live
know.
even longer
I
than
know.
that.
I know. But what? That's why, Chad. I will keep affirming your decisions here. There's a fantastic book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and it talks about how, you know, major changes happen by small habits. Powerful book.
Yeah.
So what I'm seeing and what you're saying and what you're doing is like, okay, my father did not want to go to counseling, right? So you're saying your father didn't want to go to counseling. That small decision had a massive repercussion, massive, because he didn't have the foundation with your wife, with your mother, to then work out the relationship as a result the divorce happened, and you know, he had passed away with a broken heart, so on and so forth. But here you are saying, you know what, I am going to do my best to break the cycle. So you're saying, you know what, I'm going to go to counseling, I'm going to listen, I'm going to work through my challenges, I'm going to put myself out there, I'm going to do the hard work, those small things that in the moment are excruciating. So this is what people don't understand who watch you on the show. They don't understand how difficult what you're doing is. It's like, anybody can get on TV and fight, okay? But when you're like getting on TV and you are being honest and transparent and working through stuff, then vulnerable. Come on now. Come on, man. That's why what you're doing, man. I just got to applaud you, man. I just got to, you know, pat you on the back, bro. You know, you are strong. You're courageous. You're doing things that most people would not. So I just want to let you know that the work you're doing, not only for your relationship, for yourself, but for the world, for those that watch, because there are a lot of people that are getting healing through what you're doing. So by you making the choice to break the cycle and to say, you know what, I'm going to go to counseling, I'm going to listen, I'm going to sacrifice, and I'm going to work on it, man. You're laying a foundation, not only for yourself, not only for your marriage, not only for other people watching, but also for generations to come. So I really applaud you, my brother.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you know, you've been, and Megan, you guys have been a huge support for us, and thank you for the way, you know what I mean? A lot of times, man, men have a difficult time embracing, and men have a difficult time celebrating with other men. And man, I've seen everything but that from you. You know, you've been a brother, a friend, someone who has celebrated and embraced me. And I can't say thank you enough. I just feel like, you know, I know both of us feel a lot of purpose behind our relationship.
Oh yeah,
man.
Kinship, man.
Listen, before we get off, bro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop this in your ear, in your I don't know what those are. Those are
Bows,
bows, whatever. Yeah.
Beats didn't pay me enough, but bows, you know.
Cancel out all the other noise.
Yeah.
But listen, man, I feel like we may need to put something together for men, bro. We may need to put together a conference or something.
Let's do it. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And
I do.
And just gather, make it a man, you know?
Man, dude, seriously, I'm serious, man. You know what we may want to do though? Like just even starting small. So like maybe what we do is we do like an ascend for men one month. You know, it's like, okay, so we'll still do the regular ascend, but we're gonna do before the regular ascend, you know, we're gonna do a session for men, you know, where we get together and we start building it, man, because this conversation is needed. You don't see too many men just talking about what the issues are and working through it. So yes, I'm all for it, man. So we should talk about that, man. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Bro. But man,
let's do it.
You know, one thing Michelle and I have declared and made as a pillar for us is we want to make sure that we keep people that are in love and that are committed to love around us, you know? And so I thank God for your and Megan's relationship and your witness, your public witness, but also knowing you guys privately, just how real you guys are privately. And we're thankful, bro. So,
amen. We're thankful. Man. It's all love, man. It's all love, man. I appreciate the conversation that we had on your show. I can't wait till they air it. You
Yeah,
know, it
I
was
know. Yeah,
good,
it's a few
good.
more
Yeah,
episodes, and you guys make your cameo.
we make our cameo. You know what I mean? We had to come through. You know how we do it, man.
Like, man, I feel like you
So
made it. You're on Chad Loves Michelle, bro. You
I
can
said,
retire now.
yes. Can't wait for my check. Man, well, let me pray with you before you
Yeah,
leave. All
bro.
right? Yeah, let's
Appreciate
do
it,
it.
man.
Of course, dear Heavenly Father, we thank you, dear Lord, just for this awesome conversation. And first of all, just the blessing of technology where we could have this conversation and invite the world to attend. I'm just praying, dear God, for
Yeah.
Chad, that you would continue to strengthen him, dear God, in the deep parts of his soul, even the parts that he's never confessed or talked to anyone. I pray that you would just give him strength and courage and most of all healing. Bless he and Michelle, put a hedge of protection around them. Bless their love, allow it to grow and flourish, dear God, in ways that only they could think of, but only you could execute, dear Heavenly Father. We are praying for the show tonight. We're praying, dear God. First of all, thank you for Own, and thank you for Miss Oprah, dear Lord, Miss Winfrey, that she would have the vision, dear God, to allow shows like this to come to the earth and the world. So we're praying for the show. We're praying for the ratings that it will continue to go up every single week, and for all those that are blessed. And everyone watching, we're praying, dear God, that you would bless their heart, you would heal their heart, that you would give them hope in this area of love, and let them know that they are loved and that you have love for them. Thank you, dear God, for allowing us as men to come together as iron sharpen iron. So one man sharpens another. And this was a sharpening session. And we can't wait until the next one. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Yeah. Amen, bro.
Amen. All right, bro. Love you much, man.
Amen. Much love to you, man. Love you, man. Tell Megan we send our love. All right, bro.
I will. Same to Michelle.
All
Okay.
right, man.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Peace.
See you, bro. Peace.